What's up, everybody? It has been a long time coming, and the Anabolic Mafia podcast is back with me, your host, IFBB Pro Chris Massaro. So I finally decided to bring it back. And if you notice, yes, it is just me now. And this is because I've just talked to so many people over the past few months who really enjoyed the podcast, which means a lot to me. I'm always blabbering to different people, and to find out that people really enjoy what I have to say definitely feels really good. And obviously, I'm sure they really enjoyed what Dom had to say as well. And don't worry, me and Dom are still the best of friends. He's still my coach, and there's nothing that has changed with our relationship. However, a lot of things have changed for each of us individually. So since then, since our last episode anyway, Dom has gotten increasingly busy over these past few months, and he has a whole new avenue that he's moving into. He has bigger and better things that he's going to be doing, and he is just way too busy to be doing a podcast. But for me, this is something that I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy bringing up different topics and answering questions. I get a lot of people reaching out to me on Instagram, which I really enjoy, asking different questions, whether it be about nutrition, training, PEDs, peptides, you name it. And this is the best place to do it because there's a lot of different guidelines on Instagram or that's really the only thing I use. I really don't use TikTok. I tried it. I didn't like it. Instagram is just easy. That's my home. But there's a lot of different stipulations and rules regarding what you're allowed to talk to on there. So this allows me to really answer those questions and dive deep. Every episode is not going to be just me. This is just a transition episode to let everybody know that we are back, and I'm going to be recording. I'm going to be trying to do episodes every single week if possible. Even if it means doing multiple podcasts and then just at least getting them out there at least once a week. I'd love to do more than that, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, so just to touch on Dom, he is back here in Vegas with me, and I'll get into that as well. And he's got some really big things coming, and I'm not going to bring it up on here quite yet. We'll get into that in the future. But for me, yeah, a lot has changed. The last time I was on the podcast, I was full-time in the Army. And if you guys if this is your first time hearing about it, first time watching the podcast, I was full-time. I was a paratrooper. I was only in for about 6 years, and I had a great time. I don't regret it. I saw a lot of cool things. I did a lot of things that I would have never been able to do besides, outside of the Army. Shot a lot of cool guns, saw a lot of cool things explode, and yeah. But I only spent a certain amount of time on the line, doing the pew pew stuff, which was a lot of fun, and ended up having some injuries and moving into like an administration type role. Not my favorite thing. I never really liked being at a desk, even though my main source of income is coaching, which puts me at a desk. But it's a lot different when it's something that you're truly passionate about. But yeah, so being in the Army and then being on a podcast called the Anabolic Mafia doesn't really go together. If anybody knows, obviously PEDs and really even talking about them is definitely forbidden in the military, which completely understand. But yeah, so some things happened there, and it made me want to get off the podcast, made me want to just kind of like just stick to doing the right thing before I got out. But now I am out as of May of 2026. So now I am onto full-time coaching. So I'm full-time coaching, full-time bodybuilding. My sole focus, to be honest, my number one is being the best professional bodybuilder that I can possibly be. I'm 33 years old. You can't do this forever. I already have, a handful of injuries from the Army that I got to deal with. But yeah, you can only do this for so long. Your heart and everything else can only handle being heavy for so long. I mean, I'm actually less than 5'8", and I sit around 280 pounds plus. So yeah, I want to just get the most out of it as I can. And then yeah, I am full-time coaching. So I was coaching throughout my time in the Army, but that was tough. I mean, I spent a lot of time updating plans while I was literally in a tent out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, doing my best to find some kind of service to send the plans out. But, it was tough. It was, things ended up being late, and I really just try to give the best product possible. If people are relying on me and spending their hard-earned money on my coaching, I want to make sure that I can give them the best product and the best package available. And I've got a lot of knowledge to give, and I've learned a lot of things along the way, a lot of things, what to do, what not to do. And now that I'm full time, I know that I can, you know, really give the best product, which I'm very, very proud about. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited about that. Some other cool things that have happened since I was actually still in the army, but I did join RP Strength, so I'm one of the RP Strength coaches, and they're doing a lot of big things. They just added a coaching portal to the app that only a handful of people have access to, and I'm one of them. And it's absolutely awesome. I really enjoy it. And I was always somewhat old school. I never wrote a damn thing down. I never gave a shit about um, my max. I never cared about, I progressive overload, but I really just remember my main lifts. I remember my bench, remember my squat, remember my deadlift, the meathead stuff. But I never really paid attention to numbers. I just always tried to just go into a failure all the time and really push myself and, kind of push a little heavier each week, or at least, add more sets, add more reps, add more volume. But in March of this year, I think it was March, maybe February, I started using the RP app after talking to a few different people. One being Jared Feather, another one being Nick Walker. They're huge believers in the RP app and that style of training. Um, and I was still skeptical, but I I jumped in, I tried it, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. It took me a little bit to learn how to use the app. I'm not the best with technology. Should see how long it takes for me to set up a podcast. I still make a ton of mistakes. I'm gonna have to learn a lot here. But yeah, the app is actually super easy to use. You can click around, you can find out what to do. But especially if you're working with a coach, now that I know how to do it and know how to add and subtract volume and change numbers and everything, it really makes it a lot of fun. And I've said this before, it's kind of like you're playing a video game. Like you're trying to beat beat your score obviously last week, but also beat the numbers that the computer's putting in for you. So as you're putting in your reps and your sets and everything, it's going to add volume, it's going to add weight each week. And let's say if it adds 5 pounds, I like to throw on maybe 7 or 10 pounds or something. Or if it adds, a few more reps and it says go from 10 reps to 12, I'll try to go for 15. So I'm constantly trying to beat the app, and it makes it a lot of fun rather than just winging it. That's one thing I don't miss. And I always had an idea of what I was going to do going into the gym, but now with the app, I have a game plan and I know exactly what I'm going to do. And then if I want to add a little bit extra, if I want to add a little bit of hot sauce, like I say, like a few drop sets or like Feroci sets, or where you like cut the weight in half and do double the reps, or if I want to add forced reps or negatives, all these different things, I can do that. I just throw in the notes. And because of that, this is definitely the strongest I've ever been. I'm 33 years old, and even with different little injuries and niggles going on that just happened, I'm definitely pushing the best numbers I ever had, and I feel the best. You're going to have little pains and stuff here and there, but overall, I feel very, very healthy. I feel light on my feet. This is a very, very good 280 plus pounds for me. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I very openly support the app. And obviously, I'm going to plug myself. If anybody wants to work on the app, wants to learn how to use it, you can always reach out to me on Instagram and learn how to use it or ask questions about it. I try to do my best to answer all the questions about how to do these things and everything. And then obviously, if you want to hire me to coach, obviously always open for that, being that that's what pays my bills now. So the other big thing that happened is I used to work with Steel Supplements. I worked with them for years. Jason Hudd and the whole Hudd family, they're like a second family to me. I've known them since like 10th grade, so a long time. And Jason's still like a brother to me. But that as you progress, different opportunities arise. And I saw that Nick, who I consider a good friend of mine, joined Morphogen as an athlete and one of the owners. And I started looking into the products, kind of just seeing what's going on, just reading up. And I was like, these are really, really good profiles. And I personally buy a lot of the ingredients that are in their products, and it would cost me an arm and a leg. The most money I spend on is on supplements. I spend more money on supplements than I do on gear, than I do on training, than I do on coaching. Any of that stuff, I spend the most money on supplements, and that's still the way it is now. However, I reached out and said, "Hey, man, this stuff's really good," and then I went and bought it. I wanted to support. I wanted to support my friend, and see if I really liked it. And I spent a lot of money. I spent like probably 400 or 500 bucks my first purchase. I think I tried the pre-workout. I tried like the prime, the heart, the kidney, and I think the liver. And I really liked everything right away. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna like feel the health supplements like heart and liver and everything, but really getting into the ingredient profiles and the dosages, I was like, okay, this is really good. This is actually going to save me money. But then, the conversation was happening like, okay, you guys aren't exactly new, but I know that you're growing. So the conversation happened about joining the team, and we obviously talked numbers, we talked what we can do, and I really didn't ask for much. I just wanted to be a part of something I believed in. And I went back. I talked to Jason formally, and he was in support. He supports me, bring success for. So I'm very, very grateful for that. There was nothing weird. We're still, like brothers, and I'll always be appreciative of that. He's always a go-to for me when I have questions. We could talk for hours. We do sometimes talk for hours about ingredients and drugs and what's good and what's bad and what's healthy, what's not healthy, and my health complications or some of his past stuff. So having that go to is always super important, but especially if he can support me in doing something that uh, is not necessarily beneficial for him, which is very, very cool. So yeah, I moved on to Morphogen, and it's been great ever since. I've been very happy with the products, and even though I became a sponsored athlete, I think I dropped like $700 or $800 my first month buying extra stuff to try out, because I'm never going to promote a product that I don't fully believe in. And yeah, I picked out a lot of supplements, and I genuinely take a lot of their stuff, and I really feel it's important to be incorporating the health supplements in your daily routine to make sure you're taking care of your heart, your liver, kidneys. I say this all the time, like a broken record, but listen, there's just too many people dying, and there's too many people that I just don't think are paying attention to these things. Getting blood work is just not enough. That should be the basics, but then adding in the right ingredients to sustain your health and your longevity is so important. Because listen, let's be real. Taking performance enhancing drugs is probably going to shorten our lifespan. But it's a risk that we're all willing to take. We all want to be jacked. If you're competitive, you want to win. So there's going to be certain risks, but it doesn't have to be so risky. We all watch race cars and everything, and of course, there's a risk of crashing, but to mitigate those risks, they spend a lot of money to make sure that those cars are going to crash and fall apart in a way that's going to save the driver, and they're going to protect them. Like in F1, they put the halo on there, and yeah, it's not always fun taking 20 pills in the morning, but I'd rather take 20 pills now than have to pay for it by going, to the ER one day. So, the risk is always going to still be there, but at least I can mitigate that. Um, so yeah, got my notes here because I can't remember everything. But yeah, so now I'm down here in Vegas. I moved from Alaska. That's another big change. I really enjoyed my time in Alaska. I had a lot of fun. I skied a ton up there. I saw the mountains and got to travel all over the state with the army. And it was definitely a dream come true to be there. I've always dreamt of going to Alaska. But I will say that living there is not for the faint of heart. It is cold, it is rainy, it's snowy. When it's not snowing, it's raining. It's cold most of the year. There is some sunny days and everything, but it can be a lot. And everyone talks about the darkness, and it's true. You get some seasonal depression up there. So, if you know some people up there, give them a pat on the back for, going through it. But the people who go up there and stay, I think they have the most veterans actually there, like the most at least per capita, in the United States. Don't quote me on that. I don't have a Jamie here like Joe Rogan to check my facts, but But yeah, it's gorgeous, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for Andrea. Andrea's my soon-to-be wife. We're gonna get married here in a couple months, but we're just not cold weather people. I do love to ski and everything, but I can't live there all the time. And even though there was an amazing bodybuilding community there, and that's going to be the thing that I miss the most, we had to move on to a bigger pond. I was a big fish in a small pond, and it was fun while it lasted. There was me and Tyrese Green, who's a new IFBB pro as well in classic, and a few other pros up there, like Kimmy England. She's a figure pro, and there was a couple small gyms. I went to Max Strength and Power and had a great time. We had an amazing community there. I had a big team up there. It was probably the best gym community I've ever been a part of since I started at 12 years old. So I really enjoyed it. But it was time to move on, and it was time to surround myself with people who are smarter than me and stronger than me and know more than me, so that I can learn and continue to grow as a coach, as an athlete, and honestly just have more exposure to different gyms and just a bigger community. And that's what it's all about. I mean, like, you still have to be able to pay your bills, right? So, having a larger community is gonna make more clients available, and it's very, very important. So that's if you follow anything that Alex Hormozy said, one of the biggest things you can do is change your location to make sure that you're successful. So if it means moving somewhere to put more food on the table and take care of my future wife and my future family, then that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And we made the trek. We left Alaska at the end of June, and it was a hell of a ride. We drove down. We drove through long stretches of dirt roads, going through Alaska into the Yukon and into British Columbia, and then eventually Alberta. We hit blizzards. We saw tons of animals. It was a tough ride. We had our dogs with us, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And I don't really want to do it again, but I'm really glad that I did it. I originally drove to Alaska from Atlanta, Georgia, which we took like 3 weeks to go there, and then we bolted down from Alaska to Las Vegas in about 6 days. And it was, I think, like over 4,000 miles in every piece of terrain you can imagine. We went through deserts, we went through mountains, we went through blizzards, like I said. It was just absolutely nuts. Wouldn't want to do it again, but like I said, it was gorgeous. But now we're here. We're here in Vegas, and my home gym is the Dragon's Lair. Very grateful to be part of that community. Came right down, and to go back to the RP thing, Jared Feather's one of the members who goes there quite a bit, and he's one of the main people behind the RP Strength or RP Hypertrophy app. And we've met before, but once we started having a deeper conversation, I think at the Arnold, and we started going over training styles and learning more about what that he's very, very open-minded. Everyone thinks that science-based means like you're just some wuss who like sticks your arm in like a freaking foam roller or something. And that's just not it. It's about using evidence both from scientific studies and obviously anecdotal evidence. And the anecdotes being, other professional bodybuilders just being jacked and other coaches and what they've seen and everything. So that level of open-mindedness is what drew me to the RP app. Like, okay, like, so let's learn from you guys, learn from what we see works, in scientific studies, but also incorporate what I know works for myself with my anecdotal evidence of both my clients, my thousands of clients I've trained over the past, nearly 20 years now, and my own evidence of what helped me grow. And I'm still constantly trying to learn, because just because it was the way, it doesn't mean it's the only way. So, being surrounded by him and other great trainer and athlete down here, Joe Sullivan, he's part of the RP team, and his wife, Briani, these are all great people to be around. And then obviously, coming down, there's tons of other pros. I mean, you're bumping shoulders with Milo Sarshev, Darren at the Lair as well. I mean, obviously Flex Lewis owns the place, and he's always been absolutely wonderful and very welcoming with me coming to the gym and everything and bringing me into the community. So it's just an overall amazing place to be. So if you're coming through, it's not obviously not the only gym. There's a lot of great gyms. There's New Tech and Las Vegas Athletic Club and the Fit Club and the Lift Factory, and I just can go on and on. There's like 20 or 30 amazing gyms here that are some of the best gyms in the entire country. But like I said, my home gym is the Lair. So if you're coming to town, definitely come to the Lair. If you see me, come up and say hi. I'm always open to come, and talk to people and everything. So, even if I look like I'm grunting and cussing and look intimidating, you can always come up and say hi. I love it. And it's very, very flattering, all the people who have watched the show. Trust me, I didn't do this for the views or anything like that. I just did it because I enjoy talking to people, and the fact that people enjoy it it means the world to me. See if there's anything else I need to really bring up here. So the other thing, yeah. So like I said, it's not going to be just me every week talking. These aren't really the kinds of podcasts I like to watch. I like to watch podcasts where people bring people on where they really enjoy talking to them and who they want to talk to. But also, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to listening to what my audience wants to watch and who you'd like me to ask questions to and converse with and everything. I'm not someone who wants to do any kind of gotcha bullshit or any kind of like drama or anything like that. I just, if you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you. I would love to have you on, or if any of my audience wants me to bring people on, this is your chance. Please put in the comments section. Let me know who you want me to talk to. And I'm going to be doing Q&As. We're going to be putting Q&As on my Instagram. So if you have questions, and it is completely open, ask whatever you want. I'll try to get to as much questions as I want. If you have questions about diet, nutrition, peaking, if you have personal questions you want to know, and as long as it's not going to put me in jail, I will definitely answer them. Yeah, PEDs, peptides, whatever questions you have, I will answer to the best way possible. And if I don't know, I'm just going to say I don't know. And if I have a guest on who knows better, then hopefully they have an answer for you. If it's something that I think is bullshit and I don't believe in, I'm going to tell you it's bullshit and I don't believe in that. I'm a very open person, and I'm very to the point, and I know that I can come off kind of abrasive sometimes, but honesty is the best policy, So, and listen, if I give some false information, I will own it, and you guys can fact check me and throw it in the comment section too. It's all good for the podcast anyway. And yeah, like I said, if I fuck up, I will be glad to own it. I have no problem with that. And the last thing I'm going to leave on here is that I know that I'm going to be getting questions about it. I said that the Army had some issues with some of the things I was doing, and I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'll talk about it in a separate podcast, but I did get about as hard of a slap on the wrist as you can get in the military for being a bodybuilder, making muscles, and being accused of doing a lot of things that I didn't do. So everything ended up being okay, thank God. But if you're in the military, if you are bodybuilding, if you want to compete in bodybuilding, especially open, if you have a big social media following, the best advice I can give you is shut the fuck up and don't talk to anybody, don't trust anybody, and keep it to yourself. And if you're in the military, you should not be taking PEDs. Actually, nobody should be taking PEDs. They are illegal and they're not good for you. But listen, you're a grown man, you're a grown woman, you can make your own decisions. But if you're in the military, you should know that you shouldn't be doing them. And that includes a lot of peptides as well. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going to leave off on that. And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about it, but I promise you guys, I will tell everyone the whole story at some point. But the main thing is the Anabolic Mafia podcast is back. I'm going to be bringing on tons of guests. I already have a list of people. I'm going to try to drop an episode at least one time a week. That is my promise. I will work my ass off to make sure that I'm always producing and doing good work here and bringing people on that you guys want me to talk to and want to hear from. And please be active. Ask questions, comment. Tell me you love it. Tell me you hate it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I am open to as much conversation as possible, and I'll try to respond to those comments and everything. This is my full-time gig. I'm a coach. I'm a bodybuilder. And I guess now I'm a podcaster. So I will do my best to, converse with all you guys. But that's really it. We're at about 25 minutes right now. I said I would keep it under a half hour when I started this thing. So thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe. It all helps and everything. And if we get enough views and all that kind of stuff, the money ends up coming in and it will support the podcast. So I am not looking to be a millionaire off this freaking podcast, but if it can support itself, man, that'd be freaking awesome. So like I said, like and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, IFBB Pro _ Chris Massaro. And that's really it. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. And I will have a guest on soon.